Hello, my friends. I hope you're having a super day. Today is my brother's birthday. Sean, if you're listening, of course you are. Happy birthday. Today I am talking with Karen DeLoach, and we're talking about creativity and how you don't have to be an artist for creativity to help you have a happier and healthier life. And hey, maybe even help that brain of yours operate a little better. Have a listen, share it with your friends. Let me know what you think. See you soon. Hi, my friends. Welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and this is Heather, and I am super excited that you're here. You are going to hear some tips and some tricks and some ideas to help you live your happiest and healthiest self. I call it Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, back to me, then you can take better care of others, and we can all make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way, and I am super happy that you're here. And hello, my friends. It's Heather. This is the Back to Me podcast. It's another beautiful, awesome day in podcast land, anyway. And I hope you are having an excellent day. And we are talking to more amazing people today. Well, one amazing person who's part of the amazing collective of people that I get to talk to, right, Karen?
Yeah.
So today is Karen DeLoach. And did I say that right?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, cool. Creativity specialist is what I called you, but art as self-therapy. And, I'm already on that bandwagon 100%. And I was reading some of the information that you were sharing about some of your students. So we're going to go to that for sure. But first, how did you become down this road of creativity specialist? Like, what led you to using art as therapy?
Well, that's a great question. And I don't know if I can answer it in 25 words or less, but
You got as many as you want.
I've always been creative. I'm part of a creative family, and my father's got that Irish storyteller in him. And I grew up with theater, and art was just something fun to do as a child. And one of my mom's stories is the paper just was never big enough, and I ended up drawing and painting on the walls, which of course got me in big trouble. But she didn't realize that someday some people were going to pay me to paint on their walls. I spent
Right?
years painting murals. So you never know. But, that's one of the things I talk about with my clients is, what did you enjoy before you were 7 or 8? What kinds of things were fun to you? Because that's a key to, really how to use and engage our right brain, which has become a passion of mine since I started understanding what was happening. Because, as an artist and a theater person and a filmmaker and then an art teacher and film teacher, you see things happen and you see the results. But since I've been investigating the neuroscience behind it, I've gotten even more excited. It's like, oh yeah, I've seen it in action, and now I get to see it have scientific proof that shows that art truly is self-therapy, and you can get wellness through creativity even if you don't identify as an artist. So
Right.
I've always had this drive for the arts. My grandfather was a violinist for the New York Philharmonic Orchestra. So there was music in my mom's family, and our sons are all musicians and artists. It's just really a kind of a very right brain family and all kinds of art. And that's the thing is, I don't know anybody that just does one thing. They'll say, well, I paint, but I also like to draw, and I like to sculpt, and I like to act. So it's very hard to just nail it down. But what happens, scientifically is what's gotten me excited because, science, we have a culture. And this is one example. You ask a room of 5 and 6-year-olds, do you like to color? Do you like to paint? Do you like to dance? Do you like to sing? Do you like to play in the playground? Do you like to throw and catch balls? Yes, 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 yes. But you ask a room of 15, 16-year-olds, maybe 10% say yes. So I'm like, what happens in that 10 years that squashes? Because half our brain, right, is creative. We've got
Right.
our our left side that is logical and reasonable and chronological and memorization and very, very important, right? And that's all measurable and easy to test. And that's what generally our school systems are oriented towards, to the detriment of what happens in the right brain. The right brain that has creativity, imagination, intuitiveness, inventiveness, coloring outside the lines. That's a lot harder to find a way to measure. And so we don't get it. And it even at the least gets trivialized in our school systems. And very, very often, because it is the sensitive side of our mind, people get hurt. Well, why'd you color? You can't color at all, or you can't draw, or you can't sing. And those words, I call them left brain bully words that just kind of eat at us, convince us. And I know that happened to me when I was in art school, and I really struggled because I was interested in all these different ways, and I still took theater. But in art, I was doing really well in drawing and sculpture, but my major was painting. I really wanted to paint. And my teachers, unfortunately, used four-letter words to describe my painting. And I even went to four different painting classes to see if I could get a different opinion. Actually, what I was looking for was better skill development, because I wanted to paint naturalistically, not abstract expression, which these teachers came from and were really
Right.
looking for. And I love people. I love places. I wanted to make paintings about them. But I became convinced. My right brain heard, you can't paint, you're terrible, and go into sculpture. And I didn't finish a painting for almost 20 years.
Isn't
I'm
that
not
crazy?
those words ate at my confidence, ate at my, I came into agreement with them is really what happened. Now I
Right.
love
And it's so
sculpture.
strange, right?
Yeah.
I find it, I mean, I to some degree I understand it that we feel the need to measure everything, but what you don't have to measure everything, you know? We don't criticize trees for the direction that they grow generally. Some people might, but you're reminding me of my husband didn't draw for probably 50, maybe longer years because in art class in school, they he think he well, he failed art. They told him he wanted the teacher's like, "Draw a tree," and he wanted to draw rocket ships. So, it's like, "No, you don't pass." Well, let the poor kid draw what they wanna draw, right? And it is interesting, depending on what teachers you get. I had a painting teacher who was a high realist teacher, and so I do consider myself a painter. I know not everybody considers themselves an artist, but it took me a long time to undo the high realism, you know, because you are so influenced by those early teachers in your life
And
and
you can
whatever
get the
school they went
opposite,
to.
where I'm not good at I believed I wasn't good enough, and for you, it's like perfectionism, I'm
Yeah.
paralyzed by perfectionism because,
Yes.
both wings are out of order when we gotta build our skills, and most of us call ourselves practicing artists. The joke is we're always practicing because we always wanna try new things, which we don't know how to do well, and so perfectionism can truly paralyze, an artist or musician, singer, all kinds of different ways that perfectionism can hurt us, or writers, because they tell you don't edit while you're writing. I've got 3 books and have 3 more in the pipeline. So I know about being so tempted to always be editing and never make progress. And you're, kind of like fighting your own creative world, which is
Right.
shutting down the left brain sometimes and letting the right brain have its way and develop it, let it come up. It's not a matter of not using our left brain. It's a matter of creating these neural pathway connections, between left and right brain. And that means that right brain may need healing, it may need training, it may need encouragement, listening to what it's trying to tell us. People say, from the gut, but where does that gut communicate to? It communicates to
Right.
our right brain. That's where we're getting the ideas. They just like pop. Now, here's an example. And, again, I don't know who these scientists are that do these studies, but they were studying people that sing in the shower. Do you like to sing in the shower?
I sing in the car, not in the shower.
Yeah, nobody else is around, right? You know what happens when you're singing in the shower? Now, this is kind of cool. So you're rub-a-dub-dub, scrubbing in the tub. And while you're singing your favorite tune or song, you get out and you're feeling good and squeaky clean, and some idea pops in your mind. Maybe it's a solution to something that was puzzling you. And you don't credit that to singing in the shower, but there is a direct correlation between letting that left brain rest and engaging the right brain, and those neural pathways connect and create a new idea. It's awesome. That's just one way, simple ways to really engage ourselves with our right brain.
Well, and your right brain, because it's not linear, can make those connections that would not seem necessarily logical at the time, right? It can just make these pinging connections. Oh, this, and this. And you think, oh, wow, that's brilliant. But I read a book called Be More, Do Less, Be More. And it was talking about how you have to let that logical part of your brain take a coffee break and
That
daydream and play and do whatever you want for, and it is true. And that I don't even have to sing in the shower. That's where ideas come, right? It's just because you're not
that's
thinking about anything. You're
Mhm, mhm,
just hanging out. And
mhm.
I wanted to say, I think some people consider if they call themselves an artist, they have to be earning money at it. And it's like, but that's not what art's about, you know? I feel like more people would be comfortable saying, "Yes, I do this," or "I do this," if they didn't put that pressure of, "But, it's not my career. I just do it for fun." So they don't consider it not that it's a serious thing, but in a serious aspect, like in the serious things it can do to help, right? So, I mean, art is therapy for so many things, but I think if we took the pressure off is that it has to perform in some way. Does that make
Well, I
sense?
think only your tax accountant needs to know if you're making a living off of it. It's really truly not the measure of success. I mean, otherwise, could we call Van Gogh a success? Because for, 2 decades as he painted and drew and sculpted, he sold one painting.
Yep.
Now his paintings are for $50 million and above, but was he a failure? And he certainly had mental struggles to believe he was good enough because of those financial struggles. He had a brother that believed in him, uh, but Teo. But the reality is success. Yeah, because guess where success measured by money is from? The left brain.
Yep.
It's a
That
left.
bossy pants.
Yeah,
That
yeah, that
bossy pants on the left saying, "Get to
yeah,
work."
totally. Saying you're not a success, you didn't make it. And I mean, I don't know any artists that haven't struggled with that, or actors, or what, if you don't find joy in the journey, then you're not gonna keep with it. You're not gonna stay with it. And it can manifest in so many different ways. It's not just painting, drawing, and sculpture. There's many, many, many ways to be creative. What if you like cooking and you tweak recipes? Hello, that's engaging your right brain and left brain. The left brain's doing the do, the right brain's coming up with ideas. Well, we really like cinnamon.
Delicious.
Let's try that. Yes, it's a delicious way to be creative. Or how about this one? This one's really simple. My mom and I did this yesterday. We had a sunny day in winter and we took a walk and a stroll. And this was not, Fitbit counting your steps, right? Or being aerobic. This was just, I don't know. I think at least 6 or 7 people walking their dogs, chatting, seeing the blue skies without clouds, smelling the daffodils are starting to come up, and
Well,
whatever is around, just enjoying the crispness in the air, but being all bundled up and not cold. That releases again that pressure that builds that builds in your left brain, and lets the right brain. And I had an idea and I said, I could just do this. And mom said, look, you're exercising exactly what you're talking about. So she's
right?
heard me on my podcast and she knows I talk about this.
That's
Okay, I'm
awesome.
practicing what I preach.
Exactly. And I think a lot of us, when we're trying to help people in coaching or whatever, it's stuff that we've figured out ourselves and we went, oh my gosh, What do you mean? Not everybody's figured this out yet, so let me help them. And you've written some books.
Yeah, yep. I have 3 books. A couple of them are on Amazon. I teach college art, and we're in rural South Carolina, and I realized that this class wasn't working with the textbooks that they had. I wanted to really make an impact on my students' lives. I only had them for one course. They were doing something else with their life, but for this one class, I could introduce them to the world of Western art. I could stir up their own creativity. I could help them find local artists who maybe they could relate to with the same kinds of experiences. So I rewrote the textbook 2020. We all came home, right? Um, I still taught online, but I spent that time. A publisher had approached me. I have 1,800 images. It's called Art History Appreciation, and
Cool.
in it, I also have hands-on through my other book, How to Draw. And so those I was putting into effect, and really, because most art history books are written by art historians who I'm sure love art, but it's guess what side of the brain it's coming from? Dun, 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 dun,
Dates and times and boring. I took art
When I hear
history.
students tell me, "Oh, art was the most boring class. I slept through the slideshows," I want to cry. It's so exciting when you hear people's stories and you find out where they came from, and you just find some way to identify. Because most people can tell you some music they love, but they may not be able to tell you any art, or maybe they don't have art on their walls because they don't even know
Right.
what to do. And I also have them go to museums. I live near Charleston, South Carolina, which is a beautiful place for looking at art, and a lot of it is local. We have a beautiful countryside right along the coastline, and we have lots of marshlands and beautiful scenery, and we have a lot of artists that can show that kind of work. And so my students, I require 'em, not require my they get to not take the final quiz if they go to a gallery museum. So that's kind of part of my philosophy of trying to enjoy it, enhance your life by enjoying this part of our lives. We were given half a brain for creativity. And if we're not being creative 15 to 20 minutes every day, we're not living as fulfilling, joyful, happy life that we could. Because just in a 15-minute walk with my mom, we had happiness. That serotonin is released. That's what the scientists are telling me. It actually releases serotonin. That's why on Facebook everybody posts babies and puppies and kittens, because they make you happy. They do. It
Cat
makes
videos take over the internet.
and the healing aspect. And this is what I was sharing with you before about
Mhm.
David, one of my young students. He was a homeschooled young man because he had ADHD and dyslexia. So academics were torture for him.
Right.
And his mom brought him to my studio, and he became really, really good artistically in a very short amount of time. He loved it. He thrived in it, sculpture in particular. But he could draw, he could paint. We did batik. That eventually, because he was able to do well enough to graduate from high school, uh, he won first place grand prize in a youth competition. And then just 3 months later, had a brain infection that caused a stroke and paralyzed him on the right side of his body.
Whoa.
Yes, and after 4 months rehab in the hospital, he still couldn't communicate verbally. He couldn't walk very well, and his right hand was kinda curling up to not, um, be functional. So as soon as he got out, his mama brought him back to the studio. And as depressed as he was, we said, "You know what, David? You got a left hand that works just great." And in a short amount of time, again, he was drawing and writing with his left hand. And in a short while later, he was starting to communicate verbally. So I get a call from his neurosurgeon. He said, "I've never called somebody's art teacher before. Like, I'm going to lower myself to talk to you because I'm not an
Well,
art therapist. I'm an artist." And he said, "What are you doing with David?" Because not only, I mean, he's stronger with his weak hand than I am, and I'm a surgeon, and he's starting to have mental repair being done, and he's starting to talk and walk, and he's doing better. He says, "I'm doing the medical stuff, but he's doing things miraculously better." So I knew that I didn't understand at the time what was going on, but it was very evident to me that art had not only encouraged him in academics when he was struggling with those infirmities, but he, was able to make neural connections through the arts in school, but then to recover from such a traumatic brain injury. And I've seen him recently. He can talk almost perfectly. He walks almost completely without a limp. His right hand is still weak, but he could still write and draw and do everything and communicates
Right.
great. He has a plastic skull. I mean, this is a dramatic change. And I have another woman who um, was so good in the studio. She had brought her children, and I always encouraged the moms, and mostly moms, dads, to do it too, because well, who knows? And she was very talented, and then she got a late stage breast cancer diagnosis,
Oh,
given like 6 months expectancy, and was doing all the radiation, chemo. And I had a big art project that I was preparing for that was in 9 months. It was a whole room installation using porcelain. It's called Taste and See Sweet Shop. And I knew her talent. And I said, Jan, come help me in my studio. So every day that she could, she was there working, making these beautiful flowers. We were decorating cakes and candies and cupcakes and cookies all out of porcelain. Okay. And
oh,
finding the right color glazes and
that's
colored
like
glaze to
that's
work
a
with.
lot of work.
It was a lot of hundreds and hundreds of pieces. We even found furniture in the thrift store and refinished them and put padding on them, to make it look like a cafe. And it did. People came in, pulling out their wallets to buy chocolates, and I'm like, these will bust your teeth. We had to bring in some sweets so people didn't leave disappointed. I did sell a few, but not very many. But the point was, she was there. She worked the whole 17 days of the show. She is still here, cancer free. And she says, you know what? Doing that art, having something to look forward to every day, having something to, hope for, to be around for the show, changed my life mentally and emotionally. Maybe it had to do with her physical healing. Again, that's not quantifiable. But the truth is, she is living a quality life because she got distracted through art, got
Well,
wellness.
right. And it's interesting. Mindset makes a difference. And I've read a research on this recently, where if your doctor tells you you have this, but we're going to do this and it's going to cure you, and you believe them, then there's a good chance you'll be cured. But if your doctor says you have this, you're probably going to die. Unless you can discount what that doctor has said to your subconscious, or unless you have another reason to stay, I need to see my grandchildren, so I'm going to make sure I get better for them, or something that will shift your mindset, you will probably pass away. And art is a huge way for people to get out of their crap and just play and have fun. And it is true. So I am left-handed, born
Me too.
born left-handed, but I broke my left wrist,
Ooh.
my Frankenstein
Ooh.
scar. I
Ouch.
still I'm still working on my range of motion, but what did I let that stop me? No, guess what? My right hand is doing great. And I've still been painting and writing. My handwriting is now, I'd say I'm now in about grade 5. My right hand is now in grade 5. But it's interesting, like, people will think this has happened to me, it's over. But your brain, they used to say, if you damage your brain, that's it. But now they're proving that no, it's not. That's not it. Your brain can just move things around. It can just redecorate. If part of your brain is damaged, it just says, okay, we're just going to move things around. But it takes longer, and you have to do some things to get that brain muscle working. So I think art, doing that, something physical, like it doesn't have to be painting, drawing, sculpting, maybe it's baking, but something physical to help your brain rewire and get out of the "my life sucks" world, right?
Yes. And it doesn't take all day. And a lot of people, I'm too busy. I can't anything. 15, 20 minutes, depending on which study you read. is all it takes per day. Just like even a stroll, or other ways that you can be creative. People love coloring books. Why do you think they started with these adult coloring books? And even my mom, who doesn't identify as a creative, she was working with her great grandchildren coloring, and she said, "You know what? I see why this is relaxing. It works." And she has things she does on her computer because she has an iPhone, an iWatch, an iPad. She's really wired, my mom. But yeah, she's really rocking and rolling it. And she said, "I get it now, because like the serotonin release, the reduction of cortisol, which we need cortisol, but too much of it is that stress related illness happens. And so
I feel like we've got an abundance
we
in
have
general.
abundance. We need to release it and let that
Yeah.
calming happen for us. That's why people enjoy meditation and certain things, to really bring us down from high productivity, whatever we're working on, and just relax and enjoy our lives. And everybody has something creative they can do. I believe it with all my heart, because why do we have half a brain for creativity if it's not for everyone? And there's so many ways, and this is something that I specialize in, helping my clients find their creative world. Or you remember loving to color and paint when you were a child, but you never got around to it. You did your left brain job, you raised your family, but now you'd really like to explore and see if you could get better. It's really my expertise. My third book is How to Paint, which I use in my classes. And for me, when I shared my story about believing I couldn't paint, that I wasn't good enough, I really accepted that but I kept trying. And that's the thing. I started having babies. They were so cute. I wanted to paint them. And I just couldn't get myself past this hump. And then I got a mentor. I got a man who'd been to the Chicago Art Institute, learned the fundamentals of how to paint, and he taught me. And those courses for a couple of years really changed my life, because then had what I needed to get past those stumbling blocks for me. And there was no stopping me after that. So I know I can, I have been helping people for many years, and this bent of really kind of expanding and bringing in the wellness factor. Part of that is because I'm turning 70 and this month, and really want to help my generation that maybe has some brain fog, or some
Right.
some fears of AI, that, guess what side of the brain AI takes over? The left. And if your whole world is left brain, then it's time to start engaging your right brain, because it will
Right.
never replace right brain brilliance. I used
Do
to
you
always say, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna ask you, so you have a studio, but do you have online as well that you help people?
I do. We all learned how to be online, right? The last couple of years.
We kinda jumped right into it.
We did. We said, okay, how do we do this? And I learned, even through my college classes, how to teach art online. And I love it. I love this medium because it does open up the whole world to us, right? We're not limited to our local communities. Of course, doing it in person, having your hands on is always number one. But I teach classes where people are doing it while I'm training and teaching, and I have the slides to show them what to do. And then they show me what they do, and we work from there. And I create what I call a no criticism zone. So this
Right.
is because, guess which side of the brain criticism comes from? Right? It's a left brain thing. And it's, people used to say, well, if you don't get criticism, you can't get better. But guess what the right brain does when it gets criticized? It shuts down, it gets wounded, it gets its feelings hurt. That's all from right brain. And so there are ways to encourage and teach and bring people forward without tearing them down at the same time. It just doesn't make
Right.
any sense. So this is a no criticism zone. It's safe to try new things, you know, to engage the right brain. We don't look at our paper. Like when I'm teaching drawing, you can't even look at your paper. So you are disengaging. I mean, you're still using utensils, so that's using your left brain, because the idea isn't to just shut down the left brain. The idea is to create neural pathways connecting, like you were describing before. All these things come. I used to describe my brain's more like a spider web than the Manhattan with streets and avenues. It just pulls things from all different areas, and not understanding. Well, that's what you happens when you develop your right side of your brain. but it's only catching up to our left. So we don't want to do without our left brains, but we want to connect them and give them
They can be
opportunities to work
friends. They can
together.
be friends.
Absolutely. Work together. That's the goal.
You need the creative and you need the accountant to keep track so that
Absolutely.
the creative can keep buying new art supplies.
Yes, yes, and as I've been learning marketing, I realized that should be part of every art program or theater or filmmaking program is the marketing and sales, because we don't ever get any of that. We have to do that on our own, figure out, okay, how do we make a living at this? How do we? And there are people
Right?
that are really good at that, so they can help us.
Well, it is funny because one of the things I got, my first degree was in accounting. So my first career was a CPA. And my feedback was, you got to teach people management skills, like people skills. You teach them all about the numbers. You don't teach them how to be a manager or how to market. I mean,
Exactly right.
and even when I was teaching at the shiatsu school, shiatsu students, I was teaching them how to run a business. But I had one course with them to teach them how to market and run a business. It's like, you'll come back to me after you graduate. Okay, no problem.
Exactly right.
And I think that I think art is one of those things that people, as you say, in our school system, it's not taken all that seriously. The archetype of the starving artist, artists are always are never make any money, although, somebody made millions and millions of dollars on a big balloon dog. Not going to name any names. But it's just because we are evaluating it from that, like, cut and dried black and white standard instead of it doesn't have to fit into your boxes. We can find a way to do what we want. And as you say, if it brings you joy, then just let it bring you joy, right? Just let it bring you
Absolutely.
joy, whatever it is. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask you was a pop-up podcast. And I don't know that anybody listening, they might know, but you can tell us what the heck's a pop-up podcast? And
Well, thank you for asking. It's a marketing opportunity and a further learning opportunity for your listeners. So it's 3 free episodes of more content on discovering your creativity, giving you more ideas on ways that you can be creative, and some of the science behind it that I've investigated, and even ways to get a hold of me personally to work with you. And this pop-up podcast is for a limited time. It's accessible through www.getcreativewithkaren.com, and that will give you the opportunity to listen to these free podcasts, which is all material that is usually on my $8,000 programs. And so this free material, and I just wanted you to have more opportunities to get your listeners more content and information about creativity.
well, and get your creative juices going, right? It's never too early and it's never too late and it's never the wrong time. And everybody has the same number of hours in a day. It's how you choose to spend them. I always think of it as like I have wallet, my wallet of hours for that day. And do I want to spend my dollars, my time dollars on scrolling? No, I do not. That's a waste of money. That's a waste of time currency. So I know sometimes it's fun to watch cat videos, but I'm becoming more mindful on how I spend my time currency.
That's all.
And ideas for creativity, I'm always down for creative ideas because I binge watch art courses and at my art studio. I think currently I have like 6 or 7 different things happening that are all unrelated. But, it's like it's my groove. It all works. It all
I do
works.
too. We're always learning more, always practicing more, and I do enjoy sharing with people. I have a Facebook and Facebook group, but it's a wonderful. You're a podcaster, so you're already creative. You're creating content from nothing. You found the people, you're bringing them on, you're promoting your podcast. These are all wonderful right brain skills that you're obviously operating in. Paintings are fun, drawing's fun. Drawing, of course, is the foundation of all art. So usually I'll start people with drawing and have ways to engage the right brain. But just doing journaling, that we haven't talked much about writing, but journaling,
Right.
just not editing, just laying down thoughts and giving yourself freedom to explore what does give you joy, as Heather is describing. And those are very valid experiences, especially, as we get older, we're finding ways to experience the golden years and be golden, have really truly be golden for us.
I'm going to be platinum.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, and I just had a big commission last year, that painting I just finished and delivered Thanksgiving. So before I went to see my grandbabies, but yeah, so that was fun. And there's people that will love to buy your work, and there are opportunities for selling your work if that's something you'd be interested in.
Right.
My sons are musicians. They went all the way to Germany to be recorded and to find publishing and recording opportunities and also venues, until of course COVID came and interrupted all that. But they fell in love and married beautiful German women and gave me beautiful grandbabies. And I love to go there because of the history and the beautiful buildings and so much art to see. So, it's a great experience. And, just looking at art also releases serotonin. So if you have galleries in your neighborhood or in your city or in your town, there's always art somewhere to look at, because we're everywhere.
Yeah, it is
And
everywhere.
everyone is unique.
Just
Everyone
go.
is unique.
So, and if people who are in Toronto, there's a thing called Graffiti Alley. Just go walk down the alley, and it's got beautiful graffiti. I did a tour of it one day. It's got beautiful graffiti, and it's just so interesting and so varied. It's everywhere. Art is everywhere.
Like music, it's everywhere.
Everywhere. So, yes, friends, don't worry. All of the links for the pop-up podcast, for all of the ways to find Karen, are going to be in the show notes, because I know sometimes you're like, what was that? I missed it. Don't worry. We type it all out for you. The other part of our brain types it all out for you so you can grab it. Right?
That's right. Keep those connections, those neural pathways open.
Keep them working. And I feel like you've already shared tons and tons of really good things, but I always give my guests the last word for some final words of wisdom.
My final word of wisdom is give yourself grace. Give yourself freedom to try something new and fail, because everything isn't wonderful that we do, but it's always beneficial. Just doing it is releasing serotonin. Just the act of doing it, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't have to be anything perfect to bring you joy. So do what brings you joy, and then be gracious about it.
That's perfect. Yes. There are no mistakes, right? That's what Bob Ross said.
That's right.
Just
happy accidents.
Thank you so much, Karen. It was such a pleasure talking with you.
Oh,
I feel like now I'm just going to go and get my sketchbook because I haven't drawn yet this morning.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
I have mine within hand reach everywhere.
Right? Everywhere. I have stacks of them. But podcast friends, even if you don't like to draw, trust me, just doodle. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, right? Take care. Share this episode with someone you know who just needs to be a little less logical. I will see you next time.
Blessings.
Bye-bye. Hi, my friend. Thanks so much for listening to this entire podcast. If you found it useful and you're like me and you like helping others, please feel free to share this. Just give it a like, give it a comment. If you found something useful in it, there's a chance that someone else will find something useful as well. Also, if you have any questions at all, I can absolutely help, and I would love to help. You can email me at heather@prosperityflowcoaching.com. If you want more of this awesome content, You can follow me on Instagram, Heather Stewart Coaching. You can follow me on Facebook, Prosperity Flow Coaching. And I have a personal request. I want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. And if you could give me a review, hopefully a good one, if you could share, if you could send this out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope that you find your way to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend.